today with 425 Manufacturing in Rockford, Illinois, business owner Michelle.
Right.
And Michelle, could you give me a little bit, and her son Tyler, who's actually a graduate from Stillman?
Yep,
Is that
Stillman
correct?
and Rock Valley.
Yes. And so Michelle and Tyler, could you give us a little bit of information about how 425 got started and what industry you serve?
And 5 years ago, my husband decided to open up this place. So then I took a job because I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I took a job and I went and worked in an accounting firm for a while. And then I came here at night and kind of did the bookwork and stuff. And eventually things grew and I'm able to be here full time now.
Okay. So you would say your job is more administrative in nature, or?
I do everything. I do all the payroll, pay all the bills, do all the invoicing. And then I have a lady who works under me who does some of it too. And then I'm also out here making sure that the jobs are moving through the shop in a timely fashion. The jobs have to be done when we told the customer they would be done.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about owning a business. So what was your perception before you owned the business, and now that you're actually into the business 5 years, and they say sometimes it takes about 5 years for a business to grow. Now I know that you guys have been continually growing. Tell me a little bit about being a business partner and what you thought ahead of time and what it actually is now.
Well, I never thought that we would be where we're at. I thought we'd make just enough money to pay the bills if we were lucky, and then here we are. And we're growing, and we've been here 5 years, and we're outgrowing this building, and we're going to need another building. And you become, when as an owner, you become responsible for all these people that work under you. It's up to me to make sure that they have work and they get to pay their own bills.
Right. And then you have things like liabilities and insurances. So you play the human resource role as well.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is your industry. What industries do you serve?
We serve aviation, food, drill rig. Now this is the aggregate drill rig, not your oil drill rig. This is the drills that dig into the quarries and get your sand and your gravel for your roads.
So you kind of cross over into some different pathways.
We do, and it's good because if one industry dies down, then the other industry could pick up and then you'll be all right.
Absolutely, that is very smart. Well, let's take a little tour. Tyler, you can come along with us because I know that you are very instrumental in the welding and fabrication piece of the company.
Yeah.
I love it that you're younger and you can relate to students. And I love it that you are so much growing that you just reached out to me yesterday looking for a staff member and already have somebody that is going to come in and interview. So your role is very vitally important as well because you wear many hats too. So let's come on through here and just kind of tell us a little bit about these different areas, what the processes are, what they're making, and which industry this hits.
These are CNC mills.
Okay.
So these take square pieces of material and make them into parts. Currently, we're making, these are going to be the blades that your craft cheese snack things. This actually cuts the plastic in between them.
Okay, so that's the food industry then.
That's the
for
food
that
industry.
piece. And I see he's on a computer, so does he need to have a little bit of programming for this job?
A little bit of programming, not very much. Jared started with us with no experience and we trained him up.
Okay.
And the same with Brian, he was trained as well.
And what does your training program look like?
Just bring them in, put them on a machine and kind of lead them through the steps and eventually they're there.
Okay. So do they go guided training for a bit?
Yeah, it'd be guided for a little bit, yeah.
Okay. And then kind of like, what's your pay scale range for, say, a job like this where someone comes in with no experience?
No experience would be anywhere from 13 to 17.
Okay, depending on their aptitude and how quickly they pick up on things.
Yeah.
Okay, so this station here is cutting parts for the food industry, for your little craft packages.
Yep.
All right, so now you can take us to the next station.
And then over here is Wayne. And Wayne is one of our more experienced machinists. He can program the entire machine on his own to do everything. And he is making parts for the drill rigs.
For the drill rigs?
Yeah.
So now we're talking about drilling down into the ground for oil, you said? Or
no,
for gravel?
For gravel.
For gravel, okay.
This is the start to it, so it'll come in as a raw material. Right here, it would be a normal chunk. It would look like this from top to bottom. It's going to be oversized by about 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to take it from that. We're going to put in a CNC lathe, which basically you have two things, your mills and your lathes. Your mills are going to mill out square materials. You're coming from the top of the drill bit, working down. A lathe, you're going to spin the material and your tools stay solid on a post. So what we're doing with these right now is this machine's actually running in the middle of a cycle. They're taking that raw material there and they're actually turning it and doing everything but the splines on the inside of this. So they come in looking like that, they come out, they're going to look like this. From this process here, they're going to go over to Wayne. And then Wayne, wander over here. Wayne's going to take it, Wayne's going to chuck it up. And what he's actually doing is he's putting the splines on the side of this. And he's also doing the drilled and tapped holes on top.
And there'll be other holes that go in the next operation that connect to the top hole.
Yeah, yep. And then he's going to put the grease holes in as well. After this process, I think they go out to heat treat. And then we're going to paint them black. And then they're ready to go out to the rigs. Yep, say down here, we're going to go see Sergio. Sergio takes care of probably 2 of the CNC lathes out of 4. We have 2 guys. They each kind of take care of 2 machines each.
Okay.
Sergio, where'd you graduate from?
Rockford Career College.
Oh, awesome. I know the guys over at Rockford Career College. That's awesome.
Sergio will tell you right now, what are you machining on, Sergio?
I'm machining a plug for a shaft that we're doing a repair job on.
Okay. So you want to show them what the print is and stuff?
All right. And what does that mean to the student in a classroom?
In the classroom, the blueprint really tells you what to machine to what dimension. And
Okay. And what kind of courses did you take, Sergio, to get ready for this position?
Well, it started with the blueprint reading and mathematics and general shop mathematics and stuff like that.
Okay.
This is our fabrication and welding area. It's all raw materials. So one of the main things that we do is actually right here. The bread and butter of basically the entire shop is these parts here. What they do is on the drill rigs, they have sections of pipe. And when you drill down further, you're going to drill down and you're going to change and add another section. So the way they do it is there's 4 of these per rig and they're going to grab it and they're going to twist that pipe. So what we do, the factory, they actually had carbide grippers put in right here. And carbide's a really hard material. And when you get that hard, things start getting brittle. So depending on the operator, sometimes when you smash it, it's going to just basically crack to pieces and fall out. They were having issues left and right. But what we did is we actually take these ball bearings, we send them out, we anneal them, and then we actually stick them in here. We have 2 guys that, for the most part, what they do is actually TIG weld around every single one of these balls. Yep, after that we'll send it out to heat treat and then they're good to go to the customer.
There's some completed ones over there.
So now you just talked to me, Tyler, about welding. So there's opportunities for students to take welding classes.
Yep, say we're constantly looking for new people. Say we actually called CEANCI the other day. Beth sent out an email and I have 1 application so far and a few more on the way. So we're constantly looking for people. It's hard to find welders nowadays. And there's people out there, but they're hard to find.
Yeah.
There's good money to be made in welding too.
What is the pay range for welding, Michelle?
16 to probably 22.
Wow. And they don't really need degrees, but what about certifications?
Certifications are helpful.
Yep, it is very helpful. We have a couple guys now. I think I'm the only one that's certified. But as far as welding goes, a lot of it's on-the-job training for us. I mean, if you have high school classes, college courses, those are great to take. They're really helpful for us. As long as you know the basics, we'll basically train from there. This is actually one of the projects here that we just finished.
Oh.
We bought the welder and we didn't have a cart for it. So we actually sat down with the engineer. We just got it finished up. It's got to go to paint yet.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it has full 4-link suspension all the way around it.
So you're using your talents and abilities to create your own products so you don't have to go out and buy them.
Yep.
Correct.
I love that. That's called resourcefulness.
No, this was a great
And
project.
this is more sturdy than you're going to find on the market.
Yes.
You're not going to find nothing that's sturdy.
Yes.
It's definitely overkill for what we do with it, but it is neat to have college kids and the high school kids come through and be like, wow, that thing has go-kart wheels and suspension and everything else. over here on the table is a Fairbanks Morse project as well. So we're working
This here
on
on top?
Yep. That'll be an assembly piece to help assemble engines down there.
Oh, okay. So then that kind of gets into the automotive type
Yeah, a little
industry.
bit. Yep.
Very cool.
And then say over here is actually a food industry as well. In Darien, Wisconsin, there's a place. They have a gearbox and they have a cover on it. But the way food industry works is they have to wash down their equipment every night, so that way no algae or mold, things like that, grow on it. They're washing down this gearbox, but it has a filter on it for the hydraulic fluid. But when they're washing it down, they're spraying the hose up into it, which is getting water in it and causing havoc all over the place. So we built this stainless steel enclosure, and we're actually going to go bolt it on in about 2 weeks here.
This is for Bird's Eye. Most of you know who Bird's Eye is. Your fruits and vegetables.
Yep.
Yep, that's for Bird's Eye.
I've seen
Okay.
more carrots in my life than I ever want to see.
Yeah.
So we've got a full booth, 14 foot tall, and then I think it's 22 foot long and like 14 foot wide.
So this is your paint booth in here?
Yep.
Awesome.
It's got a ventilation system, so it sucks all the crap out of the air, so you don't breathe it in. And then it has a heating system too, so it'll bake the paint on.
Wow. I don't think last time I was here you had this.
These are portal axles for the Hummer build that we're in the middle of right now, which is its own deal. But what he's doing is he's taking this, he's pulled it completely down. We're replacing all the bearings and all the seals. The truck had roughly 100,000 miles on it, so everything's starting to get to that point where it's wearing out.
So Tyler, you bought a truck
Yep.
and you are making it into a
Mobile welding unit.
the stuff I've seen your dad put on LinkedIn,
Yep.
which is awesome. So you're gonna just repurpose that truck.
Yep. We bought the truck and it was in a rollover accident.
So we paid $3,000 for it.
Yeah, they rolled it doing about 70 mile an hour down the highway. So it was definitely in rough shape, but it's still in kind of rough shape, but we'll get to that in a little bit here. These are actually one of the projects that I just had the guys do. This is the covers that go to the portal axles. They're full of oil and it keeps all those bearings and stuff lubricated. But it was getting to the point, it was rotting out and they were just in complete disarray. So what we did is we actually took it and redesigned our own aluminum covers, similar to that one, but they have heat vents in them, and they actually have a filler glass and everything to the right level. So we did this all in-house. We bought a chunk of material. The guys over at the CNC mill actually milled it out. I sat down with the engineer in the office. I think 20 minutes, we drew this up and designed it from scratch. And then it went through the shop. We sent it out for gold anodized, and now it's ready to put on our project. This is one of our mills. We actually have a company in right now. They're rebuilding it top to bottom. It's probably 20, 30 years old. So we're in the middle of doing that, and I think we're actually looking at buying a brand new one soon. So Bridgeport Mills is what they are, but they actually have a CNC control on them. So the way these work, we have two guys that run them. They're hand crank for the most part, back and forth, but they also have a little control in it. And the control is a learning control, so I can plug in coordinates to an XYZ or an XY, and it'll actually do all the moves and everything for me. So we do quite a bit of machining on these two alone versus what we do on the CNC mills.
Okay.
If it's a small project or it's just one or two pieces, it's easier for us to have somebody come back and manually run it than it is to program it, put it in the CNCs.
Yeah, so these are old school machines and they're still very much needed.
And that's so good to hear, because I think so many times that people think in manufacturing that, everything has to be state of the art, but that's not necessarily true.
This is a grinder, so these parts are going in the grinder and we're sharpening the edges. Remember those blades I showed you guys making for craft? Here's some more. They're dull, they need sharpened, so they'll cut. So that's what we're doing. We're sharpening them up.
So Michelle, the ones they made up front, do they come back here to be sharpened, or is it just two different processes? Why is there some up front
Are
and
they?
some back
I
here?
think these are used.
These are used.
These
Okay.
are used, they're dull. Instead of making new ones, they're sharpening them, save the customer some money.
All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna head back to the office so Michelle can tell us a little bit about administration.
Okay?
Tyler, thank you so
problem.
much for this in-depth tour. It's been amazing and we really appreciate it.
Yep.
This is the office. This is where everything comes to light. The customer calls or emails and they want a quote. So then Mike will quote it. He will figure out how much the material is going to cost, how many hours it's going to take, and what other process there are. Does it need heat treat? Does it need coated? And he figures out all that it's going to cost, and then we put it all together and we send the price to the customer. Then the customer comes back and says, yes, we're going to order that part. So then the part is ordered, but then we have to order the material. We have to get everything ready for that part to be made. So then it will go over to Jessica over here, and she will order the material and write the order up and put it out in the shop. And then when the material comes, it goes to the machine that it needs to go to, and then the part is made. And then if it needs to go to heat treat or grind, then it goes there, and then it comes back. When it's completely done, then it's shipped to the customer. Then it comes back to my office where it gets billed to the customer. So I will bill it, and then we will scan all the prints and everything and put them in to Google Drive. You guys probably use Google at school. So everything's in Google Drive, so we can always go back and look. If they go to order it again, what was the process? How much did we charge them? It's all right there for us to look at.
Oh, that's very efficient.
Yes.
So you talked earlier about inventory. How do you keep track of your inventory then? Do you have a spreadsheet or something for that?
We have a program that we try to use. It's not the best program. And then I also have a girl who, that is her job, is to take care of the inventory. She makes sure the parts are in there, make sure the count is correct.
And then, of course, you have to pay all the bills. You have to take care of insurance.
I pay all the bills. I take care of the insurance. I make sure the employees are paid. I make sure the employees have their insurance. If the two employees can't get along, they come into my office and we sort it out.
So you're kind of human resources as well.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. So how many hours as a business owner would you say that you and Mike and Tyler work a week?
Well, I have put myself down to part-time, but Mike is here till 6, 7 o'clock at night, 5 nights a week, and then he's usually here on Saturdays as well.
So he's probably pulling about 55, 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of in a wrap up, I want to thank you so much, Michelle, for having us. 425 Manufacturing is rapidly growing. They serve many industries. They're quite often looking for help. They have level entry jobs. They have degree jobs for things like engineering. Certifications are helpful. Family-run business. I know some of these people have been here a while. I've worked with Brandon for a long time, and he's kind of like your...
Brandon's been here since the beginning. He's our main engineer.
Yeah, so just know that in Rockford there's many opportunities, and 425 has been very good to us. They work with us whenever we ask them to, and they come to us for help. So if you're thinking about getting into a niche market or a manufacturing company that serves many pathways, you've got your agriculture, you've got your rigging and drilling, you've got your engineering, your welding, there's lots of opportunities, as well as office. And office is pretty important. So
it's very important. It's the heart and soul of this part of the company.
But thanks again. We really appreciate it. And we will be in touch.
All right. Thank you.